Moin, willkommen zurück bei Nerdmädchen und Everlasting Summer. Trauen wir Lena noch? Nein. Werden wir trotzdem weiterhin versuchen, sie zu kriegen? Klar. Dann schauen wir mal weiter, wie sich die Nacht entwickelt.
We're here.
What? Where?
I have to go further on.
Lena smiled. I hadn't thought about anything all the way here, just followed her and hadn't noticed that we'd come to Olga Dimitrievna's cabin. Yes? Ich muss mal kurz das Mikro näher ziehen.
Thank you for today.
There's nothing to thank me for. It's just good that we came back alive. We'll see what Shurik has to say tomorrow.
Thanks anyway,
She said mysteriously and averted her eyes. You're welcome.
Well, it's time for me to go.
Lena quickly turned around and walked quickly, nochmal, in the direction of her cabin. I suddenly had thought that something about that was a bit off, not quite right. Ach nee. After all that had happened, just, well, it's time for me to go? It usually goes differently in such a situation, doesn't it? I have no idea what I expected, though. Exhaustion hit me again. Walking with difficulty, I entered the cabin. Natürlich. The leader was sitting on her bed. Semyon! She started to talk sadly. Where have you been? Well, I... Prepared for scolding, I didn't expect that reaction. I went to look for Shurik. Alone? Ist das schlecht, wenn wir mit Lena gehen? Ja, ich hatte die Situation noch nicht. Ich wüsste eigentlich nicht, was dagegen spricht, aber vielleicht ist es ja, sollen wir das nicht verraten, dass sie dabei war? Ob der Mastermind Lena zugeben möchte? Ach, egal. So, ich war mit Lena da. No, with Lena. So, what about Shurik? It looks like Olga Dimitrievna was really worried about the fate of the lost pioneer. Ach, auf einmal. What's so strange about that? The leader can treat her work lightly, but it doesn't mean that she's a heartless person. He's okay. As okay as he could be in such a situation. That's good. Go to sleep now. Okay. Wait, but... She turned the light up quickly, showing that the conversation is over and I couldn't ask anything. Genau, weil bei Licht aus kann man nämlich nicht sprechen, falls ihr es noch nicht wisst. Though, should I? Ask why she didn't scold me? Still, Lena, what happened today? My thoughts slowed their pace before stopping completely.
Meow. Schlaf, kleiner Semyon.
In dieser strangen Welt. Tag 5. We ran. Ran with the last of our strength. Like those who run for their precious lives. Like a doomed person, knowing that there's no hope to save his life, will still fight the inevitable and his own fate. Ooh. I barely managed to close the heavy metal door behind me. I have no idea how deep this bomb shelter is, or if it's able to withstand a nuclear blast, but we have no other place to hide. She gripped my hand tight. Don't be afraid. Bits of the ceiling were falling and the walls were shaking. I was prepared for the worst. But death is the kind of thing that you can't even be prepared for. But suddenly, complete silence fell. It rang even louder than the explosions. Maybe it's time to say goodbye. She was whimpering. I wanted to comfort her somehow, but realized that there's nothing I could do. Yes. Wir wissen nicht, was es ist. Ich spreche jetzt einfach mal wie Lina.
You know,
A horrible bang almost split my eardrums. It seems that I'm under a piece of collapsed ceiling, but I don't feel any pain. All I want is to not let her go. Okay. Ist auch neu. I woke up in a cold sweat, short of breath and gasping for air. It took me some time to come to my senses. It was a dream. It was just a dream. My questioning mind, however, refused to believe it. But who was that girl with me there? I didn't want to let go of her hand so desperately. Sadly, I couldn't recall her at all. The clock was showing a few minutes past 10. I slowly came to my senses and reality started to stake out its claim on my mind, and my stomach fully growled. Alright, war's war, but lunch should be served in due time. It turned out that Olga Dimitrievna wasn't here. She must have decided not to wake me up. Well, thanks God to our camp leader for this. After yesterday's adventures, I had to have a rest. Last night remained a blurry memory which I really didn't want to think about. It's now more important to find something to eat and to wash myself. Exactly. Because a pioneer must always be clean and tidy. Though I would agree with this principle even if I wasn't a pioneer, and as a matter of fact, I'm not. On my way to the wash stands, I met Electronic. He started to wave his hand and ran up to me. Good morning. Thank you for finding Shurik. Without him, I don't even have a bromance. It's nothing. I was a bit embarrassed. No, really, don't be so shy. The country must be proud of its heroes. And what about Shurik? How did he look this morning? Is he alright? After yesterday's craziness, I thought such a question was completely valid. Yes, absolutely. The only thing is that he can't remember anything. Can't he? I wasn't surprised at all. He said that he went to the abandoned camp yesterday and then woke up in his bed in the morning. I mean, he remembers nothing between those two events. I see. Alright then. You missed breakfast, right? Come to our club, we'll feed you. I have something special. Electronic smiled in a Verschwörererscheint. Thanks, I'll come probably. I had to wash myself first anyway. We'll be waiting. Gott, geht da nicht hin. Sie werden dich töten und in einen Roboter einbauen. He waved at me and left to carry on his own business. There was nobody near the washstands. The water turned out surprisingly warm today. It's been warmed up already, I guess. Having my face washed, I realized that it wouldn't be easy to wash the rest of my body here. Maybe I should go to the showers. But since there's nobody here, I turned the tap in such a way so water streamed parallel to the ground and started to take off my clothes. And what if somebody sees me? Well, I rinse and dry myself quickly and put on my clothes. The water, which seemed warm on my hands and face, felt bone-chillingly cold on my body. The whole washing process took no longer than 10 seconds, and I started to wipe myself quickly afterwards. Da musst du aber sauber sein nach 10 Sekunden. But I didn't manage to finish anyway. There were voices coming from the direction of the food path. The only solution came to me in a split second. I grabbed my clothes and dashed into the bushes. Zieh doch eben die Shorts über, was soll's. Oh, die Musik wird so suggestiv. A moment later, Alyssa and Juliana appeared near the washstands.
You could have done it by yourself. Why did you bring me here? Is it a big deal for you?
Entschuldigung, ich krieg sie noch hin.
Fine, let me.
I peered at them and noticed that they were both covered in red paint. What a surprise. I wonder how they managed that. Elisa opened the wharf and started to rub Juliana's back. Ja, hier hat uns die Steam-Zensur wieder ein Bild vorenthalten, in dem die beiden ja im Prinzip nackt sind oder im BH, aber der Kamera den Rücken zu wenden. Es ist eigentlich harmlos, aber ja, ach, egal.
Take off your bra. What if somebody sees us?
What? Is there anything to see? She grinned.
Okay, just be quick.
It was true that there wasn't much to look at, but even so I stared at the girls narrowly. It was a pity that they were standing with their backs to me. Ja, wie gesagt, ist ziemlich harmlos eigentlich das Bild. A minute later, Alyssa managed to wash up all of the paint.
I'm done. Thanks.
You're welcome, Alyssa replied lazily.
Listen, let me try on yours.
She pointed at Alyssa's bra. It won't fit you for sure.
Well, I'd like to try anyway.
But out here...
There's nobody here, right?
Ojana looked my way and smiled archly. I was absolutely sure she couldn't see me in these bushes, but... Enough with this nonsense! Ojana wasn't listening to her anymore and grabbed Alyssa's bra with a dexterous move instead. Now, I have to confess, I had something to look at. I watched the two girls chase one another around the washstands with bated breath. Alyssa covered her breasts with her hands, so I could barely see anything at all. I leaned forward and stumbled over a stone, falling out of the bushes. Was hast du davon, du Spanner? Alyssa and Ojana stood frozen, staring at me. I tried to cover my nudity with my guilty face. The tableau lasted for a few seconds. Then Alyssa took her shirt and somehow put it on in an instant. You! Her face gone from red to purple. It looked like she would explode in a nuclear blast any second. The only thing I wanted was to disintegrate into 8 atoms and get as far from the epicenter as possible.
He was sitting there the whole time.
So she noticed me then. You. And I accidentally... If you know what I mean. Grusel. Alyssa rushed at me. Covering my butt with one hand and holding my clothes with the other, I ran in the woods. Hier sieht man jetzt die beschriebene Szene auch wieder natürlich ausgeblendet. Das ist ziemlich albern. It seemed that the best solution to me at that time, as showing up naked in the middle of the camp, accompanied by 2 screaming girls, wasn't a good idea. I ran without looking back, and stopped a few minutes later to catch my breath. It seemed that there was no pursuit. So I managed to save myself. Yeah, for now. But at the cost of a lacerated, scratched and bleeding feet, as I had no time to put on my boots. I sat on a tree stump and sighed. Wirklich, du setzt dich mit nacktem Arsch auf einen Baumstumpf? Da sind Splitter und das tut weh. Ja. Sometime later, having dressed already, I left the forest. I need to decide what to do next. My feet are hurting, so I could go straight to the infirmary. But on the other hand, my stomach isn't going to wait either. Maybe I should accept Electronic's invitation? Or head to the canteen in the hope of finding something left to eat there. Ich glaube, das letzte Mal bin ich in die Infirmary gegangen. Ich habe ehrlich gesagt Angst, ins Clubhaus zu gehen. Ich weiß nicht, was die da Komisches zu essen haben. Ich gehe erstmal zur Kantine. I always took good care of my health. And even better care at the moment when I couldn't bear it anymore. Now I was able to walk and my feet weren't hurting much. So my feet will heal up eventually, while hunger drives the wolf from the wood. Surely the pioneers didn't finish up everything. At least a couple of sausages, eggs, or in the worst case, a few pieces of bread should be left. It was so deserted and quiet around the canteen that I even hesitated for a second. Isn't it here where every pioneer seeks his happiness 3 times a day, and some even more often? Isn't it an oasis of this heated summer desert? Isn't it a secret chemical lab studying how types of meals unknown to science affect immature teenage bodies? Now this building looked more like a bastion abandoned by its defenders, a kind of La Rochelle left by the Huguenots. Just get in and the ghosts of warriors who accepted a heroic death here will surround you. Spinnt mal wieder rum. Anscheinend macht Hunger das bei ihm. The canteen looked the way it always did, though. It was just completely empty, except for Miku, who was cleaning a table. Seeing that, I quickly turned around and tried to sneakily escape, but didn't manage to make it.
Hi, Sammeln, did you come here to eat? You missed breakfast, didn't you? I mean, I didn't see you. You can have been there, but I didn't see you. It's good that you came anyway.
Hi. Well, I just came wondering if there's anything left, maybe?
There's nothing left. You need to wait for lunch. You won't help me, by the way. I'm cleaning up here.
What for?
What do you mean?
She puffed up her lips and seemed offended.
Somebody has to clean up. We do it in turns. You will have your turn as well.
Für mehr Musical im Leben. Thanks, but no. Okay, I got it. I was going to leave, but Miko still couldn't stop.
So, will you help me?
Nö. Nö.
Okay, fine. Gut, dann nicht.
It looked like I've upset Miko. Na und? By the way, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Sehr geil. Ich hoffe, ihr kriegt den alle. Herrlich. Okay, wir haben immer noch nichts zu essen. Leaving the canteen, I sat on the bench, standing by the door and sighed tiredly. My feet were still hurting a bit, although not as bad as before, and there was still nothing in my stomach. There was quite a bit of time until lunch, so I decided to go for a walk. I picked a random direction, which could be explained by the single word forward. In the end, I found myself at the square. This wasn't a surprise, as the Monument of Gender appeared to be the central hub of this camp, and a kind of kilometer zero. I sat on the bench and started to think. 4 days have passed, and I haven't gotten even an inch closer to working out how I got here. It's true that quite a few strange things happened during this time, but almost every one of them can be explained logically after careful thinking.
Oh, stranger, stranger, stranger things have happened, I know.
Okay. Every single one of them could have happened in normal life. Da wäre ich mir nicht so sicher. Normal life. This term lost its original meaning to me here. Reactions to the environment, the action and words of other people, or my own words, indeed, none of this here is normal. In the past 4 days, my word review has taken a series of painful punches to the stomach and uppercuts which led to it being, if not knocked out, then seriously knocked down. Sometimes I don't understand why I act one way or the other or say something. Actually, I do understand, but not straight away. Such afterthoughts, however, don't help me to act differently, more sanely and appropriate to the situation at all. Moments of truth happening to me are becoming more and more rare. If my only wish during first day was getting out of here, then now my main concerns are where to find food, how to avoid line up in the morning, and what to say to Olga Dimitrievna if Elisa complains about me. And those things are truly important to me. And day after day, daily fuss like this overshadows the thoughts in my head about how the world around me, together with this camp and these girls, are completely abnormal. But I can't do anything about myself, because I just forget. In the same way we breathe without thinking about it, I'm joining in the everyday life of the local inhabitants more and more without realizing it. I'm steadily becoming an average pioneer. No, this is wrong. I shouted out loud and slapped my face a few times. All of a sudden the bell sound, es ist immer noch eine Trompete, verdammt, calling the pioneers for the lunch, came from the loudspeakers. Oh, eine hervorragende Übersetzung wieder. Finally, I ran skipping along to the canteen, leaving my inspiring thoughts back at the square, where they could sound interesting to Gender alone, if only he was alive. The day has just started and I've gone through so many things already. But I did it and now have legitimate grounds to fill myself up. Today I wasn't the last one, so I could choose a free table. Lunch included pea soup and mashed potatoes with fish. It was a major disappointment to me, as I don't eat fish in any form and hence will get fewer calories than usually. Soon, Slavia and Lena came to my table.
Can we?
She smiled nicely. Yeah, sure. I stood up and pulled out a chair for her. Please. I was in an excellent mood at the moment.
Enjoy your meal.
Saying that, Lena began staring at me and continued for some time, but then, after realizing how odd she looked, switched to her plate. You too.
Do you have any plans for today, Semyon?
Nope. I gave her an honest answer, and indeed I had no plans, except for searching for answers, but that was more like a global goal.
Do you want to take a boat ride to the island with us?
The island? Well, I think I've seen it from the pier. For what?
Olga Dimitrievna asked us to gather some strawberries. There are a lot of strawberries there, and they are so delicious.
I could imagine the taste without even eating it, just by looking at Slavia's face. Strawberries? And what are those for?
I don't know, but it's indeed a great idea.
Well, indeed it is. Moreover, I haven't been on the island yet. Yeah, sure. Within minutes, we were already standing at the pier.
Well, here is the boat. Hang on, I'll go and fetch the pedals now.
I was left face to face with Lena. Do you like strawberries?
Well, not really. But they are tasty.
Hä, sie sind lecker, aber sie mag sie nicht gern? Ja, egal. Lena smiled. See? I didn't know what to say next, how to continue the conversation. If Slavia didn't come back, we could probably sit here till the evening without saying a word.
Here you go.
Es ist schwer, die Stimmen auseinanderzuhalten. Ich muss da noch mal irgendwie was machen. She handed me a pair of hefty pedals. Yeah, thanks. Muss natürlich rudern. We got into the boat. I untied it, pushed off the shore, and tried to start paddling. And where exactly are we heading to?
Right there.
She pointed her finger at the island.
That island is named the closest one.
Kreativ. I wonder what captain gave it such an original name. Well, the island is indeed close to the shore. Aye, aye, captain. If only I'd known what was waiting for me ahead. I wasn't an experienced oarsman. I'd rowed a boat just once or twice in my entire life. It was less than half a mile to the island, but we were making our way in zigzags thanks to my skills. By approximately the middle of the trip, my arms hurt so badly that I dropped the pedals to get some rest. Well, aren't there any strawberries anywhere else? I mean, in more accessible places.
But the tastiest grow there.
Slavia gave me a puzzled look.
Is it hard for you to row alone?
Lena, unlike Slavia, understood everything straight away. Oh, it's nothing. Anyway, I couldn't let a fragile girl help me. Ja, genau. Fürchterlich. The rest of the way I spent concentrating on staying alive while getting to the island. Slavia and Lena discussed something, but I wasn't listening. That was too much for me. At least we arrived. Completely exhausted, I got out on the shore and looked at the boathouse. It seemed so far away that I felt like a first person on the moon watching the earth rise.
Here you go!
Slavia handed me a basket. It was a small island, barely 100 meters long. And it looked more like a birch grove, with even rows of trees covering its entire surface. A calm green sea spread beneath our feet, with wind causing lonely waves on its surface from time to time. The island looked like a lost paradise. It's no wonder that the most delicious strawberries grow just here.
We've got to split up. That way we do the job faster.
Yeah, sure.
But there are only 2 baskets.
Dun, dun, dun! Übertriebene Mausbewegung, said Lena humbly.
Oh, you're right, my bad. So, how are we going to split up then?
Natürlich gehen wir mit Lina, also bitte. Let me go with you.
Let's go. Okay, that's fine.
Slavia grabbed the second basket and ventured to the opposite side of the island. Well? Let's go?
Yeah.
Lina smiled. Just pay attention. Don't leave a single berry behind.
You too.
So, it was harvest time. Indeed, the strawberries here were delicious. I could probably eat them all if I didn't stop myself in time. Despite being white grown, the berries were close to garden ones in size and had a rich red color, so it was clear that our visit here wasn't in vain. Lina followed me closely, as we had only one basket for the both of us. I felt like a real mushroom picker, examining each shrub and carefully pawing the grass.
Well, you're much better than me.
Am I? Frankly, I'm not even counting them.
Yeah, right you are.
The basket was already half full. You must enjoy nature, right?
I do.
Was war das? Achso, the bright sun rays pierced the treetops and blinded me for a second. I sat down on the ground and leaned against a tree. Still, it's so beautiful here. Nina sat down next to me, so close that our elbows touched.
Yeah.
We just sat and enjoyed the moment. It seemed like time stood still. On the Iron Hill. The wind, ich bin heute irgendwie in Singlaune. The wind gently shook the tree leaves. Some bugs lazily hopped around the grass and splashes of sunlight played on the faraway water surface. Lina put her head on my shoulder. I was surprised at first, but then I heard her regular breathing and thought that it's just a matter of course. Probably she felt drowsy and wanted to take a quick nap. I just sat there and didn't think of anything for a few minutes. But then words started crossing my mind with ultrasonic speed. Lina. So close. Sleeping. So warm. So gentle. Feelings. I gazed at her. She had such a serene, such tranquil look on her face that it seemed that right now she's not here, but in some kind of a better world. I don't know what would happen the next moment if I didn't hear the voice of Slavia. Sammeln! Lina! Moment killer! I shook my head from side to side a few times to come to my senses. Lina started to wake up. She opened her eyes and gave me an empty look. Had a nice dream?
Huh?
Suddenly, realizing that she had dozed off leaning on my shoulder, Lina blushed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Slavia came over to us, so Lina rushed to get up.
So, how much have you got?
I sighed.
That's not a lot.
Her basket was filled with strawberries to the brim.
Well, it's enough anyway. It's time to get back.
I grabbed the basket and we headed back to the boat. The way back took less time as I tried to concentrate on rowing and ignoring everything else. My only wish was to get back alive, and the first trip hadn't gone without consequences, and now my hands started to hurt after only a few sweeps of the oars. Having tied up the boat, I fell to the ground with no energy left. Slavia and Lina leaned over me.
You could have said something if it was too hard for you. Yes.
Never mind, it's fine. Just leave me. I'll just lie here for a bit and everything will be alright.
Okay, let's get those baskets to Olga Dimitrevna, please. We have something else to do.
Ah, toll. Wir dürfen jetzt auch noch die Körbe schleppen. Yeah, sure. I was ready to agree with anything at that moment, just so I wouldn't have to get up. Slavia put the baskets full of strawberries next to me and headed to the square, happily chatting with Lina about something. Okay, die geheimnisvollen Erdbeeren werden wir dann das nächste Mal ausliefern. Das war's für diesmal von eurem Nerdmädchen.